Hi everybody, Jack O'Malley here with you. And it is, it's pushing noon when I'm recording this. I am planning to head north. In case you didn't hear, yesterday was a marathon session in the House. It was a long day. We spent 17 hours in session. But let me tell you, yesterday was a day that co-equal branches of government returned to the great state of Michigan. As post the Supreme Court ruling. Because yesterday, guess what happened? There was negotiation. There was discussion about things. The governor gave a little bit. The House of Representatives gave a little bit. My goodness, isn't that a novel idea? Instead of, this is what we're doing. Discussion, movement forward. So I know that some folks might be upset because what we did was we codified some of the governor's executive orders. Now, what's happened there is, and that, just by me saying that right now, there are some people who are watching this whose hair just caught on fire. Here's the deal. The governor's heavy-handedness and forcing of things on people really turned people's heads. For example, the masks. I still believe masks should not be mandated. I think they should be highly recommended. I think people should wear them. But by forcing it, think about seatbelts. You know, it's been however many years since the seatbelt law went in. But for those of you who remember, it took years for people to get the compliance of wearing seatbelts up, right? Because at some point you just can't tell people what to do. It has to become their own decision. So that's where I would argue that our governor was not a very strong leader when you just try and mandate things. But I don't want to go there. I want to move forward here. So these are some things that happened yesterday. We put forward an appropriations bill that would give the Secretary of State and unemployment the money they would need to open their offices safely, petitions, PPEs, and that sort of thing. They get the money if they open. So we are trying to get the Secretary of State and the unemployment agency to open their offices again, and we've given them the money to do it safely. We codified business, we provided business medical liability from that frivolous lawsuit. This was one the governor didn't want to give on, but there was discussion, and she did. The Open Meetings Act, we have extended the remote public meetings. This is kind of a nuanced one that, was there, but, people, you can't codify anything. Well, one of the things that we did do and continued that the governor had set up was retired unemployment insurance agency employees could come back to help in our destroyed and messed up unemployment situation. They could come back to work without hurting their retirement benefits. That was one we codified. Electronic signatures can remain legal for a while. We extended driver's licenses and state IDs. Also unemployment benefits through the end of the year to 26 weeks. But here's a big one that I think people need to understand. We have a bill headed to the governor. She's got to sign it yet. But it would require that DHHS and LARA implement the Nursing Home Task Force recommendations with specifically to things like quality of life, that 3-star rating. They have to have at least a 3-star rating to become a care and recovery center, and would set up dedicated labs so that if there is a test coming out of a nursing home, the turnaround can be quicker so that we know, is there somebody with COVID in a nursing facility? So there are so many things. That task force had so many good recommendations that DHHS was not taking up. This bill would require that. It also, another companion bill, is my hair messy? I know I shouldn't say it, but it looks like it. I was wearing a hat earlier. Would also require that DHHS would report weekly data so that we all can see what it is and their specifics as to what data they need to provide, so that we can see what it is they're using to make their judgments on. Remember, that was one of the huge issues, was science and data, science and data. By the way, we're judging this all on science and data. What's the science and data? Can't tell you. So this bill would do that. So yesterday was a long day, but we got a good start. There's more to come. We've got to continue to work with the governor, and the governor has to continue to work with us. But the days of complete heavy-handedness are over. Now, one of the issues that comes up is the mask issue. And you got to strike down the laws that allow DHHS to do this. Here's the part that is, I think, kind of nuanced. An extreme on either side is not good. You want to find common sense in the middle. And I believe because the governor mishandled the mask issue, again, by mandating it, if you got 90+% compliance, you're doing pretty good. By mandating it, she turned so many people just totally against it. So here's the problem. We've got a story here that we're seeing an uptick in numbers. It would make sense. It's fall, we're moving back indoors, so we're seeing some numbers increase. Well, guess what, folks? We do need to social distance. We need to wash hands. We need to wear masks when it makes sense. But again, I don't think we need to mandate them because you're never going to get 100% compliance, and you just tick people off when you do things like that. So we need to do that, but we need to have that there. And so the health department saying, hey, you got to wear a mask. For the folks who don't want to wear a mask, not the ones who can't, for the ones who don't want to wear a mask, you need to realize you are in the minority. I respect that minority, but you're in the minority. So that's how we have to work with this. So again, let me rephrase that. If you can't wear a mask, I get it. If you don't want to wear a mask, I get it, but you're in the minority. So when we move forward, you have to remember that, okay? I know it sucks, but that's where we're at. That's the reality of this. Now, you can cuss me and think I'm a terrible human being for telling you that, but if you don't deal with reality, it's very difficult to get anything done. So you might not just like what you heard, but it's the truth. The reality is most people are okay with wearing a mask. I respect the fact that you don't want to wear a mask, and I wish those rules weren't there, but right now they are. So let's deal with that right now, okay? And we are headed into a time where the numbers are starting to go back up. Does that mean we're going back into this craziness of the spring? I don't think so. We're smarter. Our medicines are better. Our protocols are better. So I don't think we're headed back to that. But we do need to realize that more people could get this. Now, again, I'm not going to repeat everything we've been saying for 7 months. We still have to deal and manage a COVID situation. So that's where we're moving. And again, hospitalizations are up a little bit and that sort of thing. So we have to be ready for that to happen, okay? So that's where we're at right now on the whole COVID front. We're moving forward. A lot of good things happened yesterday, not making everybody happy. If one side is completely happy and the other isn't, then that wasn't a good deal. When everybody's got a little bit of heartburn, that means you probably came up with a pretty good compromise. So we're moving forward, and that's the key thing there, folks. We're moving. The governor is not unilateral anymore. That is huge. Now, let's continue to move forward. A couple other things that I think you might find interesting, and then I will move on and let you go. One of the other things we did yesterday was the House granted the Joint Select Committee on the COVID-19 pandemic, which I sit on, the power to subpoena witnesses and administer oaths. That is not something we've had recently up to this point, but Chair Hall feels that we need this, and I don't disagree. Hall wants to call in specific Department of Health and Human Services officials. He said there's still a lot of questions that remain. Not everybody that we've asked in this administration to come forward has testified. It's clear a bipartisan group of legislators believe that we need to have more questions answered. We need to do that through compelling members of this administration to be here in person. So we will be able to subpoena and administer an oath. And I don't have but this passed with a good measure. So that's important. So as we continue to figure out what happened in these last 7 months, this will allow some of that. And then one other thing here as we move forward, I kind of got this lost in my Monday update because I was having technical difficulties, but we were able, the House was able to move forward to get the appellate court to look at the Court of Claims ruling about the 14-day extension to count votes. We're saying that's not Michigan law, and the judge can't just create law. So we've sent this court case up to the appellate court. Hopefully they rule sooner rather than later. But here's something very important to realize. With the mail-in ballot, absentee ballot, that sort of thing, nearly 1 million people have already submitted their ballots. People will say they voted. You don't vote until it gets run through the machine. Technically, that's the truth. But 1 million people have submitted their votes. That, according to an update on absentee ballot returns by the SOS. Exactly 977,694 ballots have been sent back to clerks, and they're in their hands. After 2,852,495 have been requested. So a lot of people are asking for those mail-in ballots. At a similar point before the 2016 election, let's see here, there were 916,000 requested. We, at this point, have almost 3 million requested, almost 3 times the amount. It's crazy. So, as much as people squawk about the mail-in ballot, and I think we need to make sure our safeguards are there, it's a very popular option with a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. So we need to keep that in mind too. So I'm tired. I got 4 hours of sleep, and I am going to point the old Jeep north, and I'll see you folks in district, and I'll report to you on Friday. So that's what I got for you now. Have a great day, and keep praying for the state of Michigan. We need it. Take care.